Jennifer Igwe, thank you for joining us on Environment Matters. Imagine the number of vehicles we have on our roads on a daily basis, and for decades we have been using fossil fuel. Now, scientists are saying that for us to address climate change, one way we can do this is by opting for cleaner and renewable energy sources. Now, clean energy ensures that we don't emit greenhouse gases that cause global warming, and renewable energy sources are from naturally replenishing means, sources. So, with Nigeria transiting to CNG vehicles, now, what impact do you think it will make? Are there advantages and disadvantages that we should consider? We'll also be looking at efforts by the government to build the capacity of manufacturers and those who assemble such vehicles in Nigeria, and impact all this would make on the environment and a fight to save the planet.
Hearing no objection, it is so decided.
The Bank of the Gavel by the COP28 President, Sultan Al-Jaber, marked the historic agreement by over 200 nations at the Climate Change Summit in Dubai to shift away from fossil fuels. Although many nations that rely on fossil fuel were not so enthusiastic about the agreement, this collective move is a sign of things to come.
Fossil fuel have been a source of energy over 250 years, and if you look at it in totality, we see that fossil fuel has contributed up to 85% of the totality of energy being used across the world. So we cannot totally abandon it. But the part that we are shifting away from is the harmful part, which is coal and oil. But the part of natural gas will still be there because natural gas is deemed to be less, harmful to human beings.
Smart countries that can see the handwriting on the wall are already working on alternatives that are cleaner and even renewable. Transition from petrol-powered vehicles to cleaner and renewable energy sources, experts insist, is crucial in tackling climate change. In line with this, a few nations are already toeing the path of renewable natural gas (RNG), considered to be a renewable energy source because it is derived from organic waste materials like plants, agricultural waste, and other biofuels. Others are exploring compressed natural gas (CNG), which, although not a renewable energy source, is considered a cleaner option compared to traditional fuels like diesel, petrol, and coal.
The bitter truth is that Nigeria can no longer continue to depend on the finite sources of energy. And when you say the finite sources of energy this time around, the conventional energy sources like fossil fuel, which is no longer sustainable. As you can see, with the current scarcity of petrol, diesel and all that, considering also, they also come with an attendant kind of economic, environmental and public health implications. So there's no gainsaying the fact that CNG technology is a welcome, if you like, transitionary phase for Nigeria. come to think about it, many countries like India started since 1991. This is like over 30 years ago that India had a transition into the CNG technology.
Natural gas, including CNG, is composed primarily of methane and other hydrocarbons. When burned as fuel, CNG emits fewer pollutants compared to other fossil fuels. It also produces lower levels of carbon dioxide emissions per unit of energy generated. These crucial factors ensure greenhouse gases that cause global warming are checked.
Deploying compressed natural gas as an energy source into driving our public transportation system by the federal government is indeed a highly commendable move, particularly that most of the vehicles shall be assembled locally, and some of them are going to be purely electric. However, it is a good step in the right direction because burning natural gas is less toxic to mammalian life and less harmful to the environment. However, if this gas leaks, it is methane, and methane gas is around 40 to 50 times more virulent as a greenhouse gas if it goes into the atmosphere. So the movement, the transportation, and deployment of this gas has to be under very, very strict control so that it does not leak. But it is a good step in the right direction.
Energy transition in the world, the global energy transition, is an urgency. It's urgent, it's imperative. So there's no room for half measures. You see, so that's why people think that we shouldn't go CNG. But in our own situation, CNG reduces carbon emissions drastically, but does not completely eliminate it. But in some, Africa, Nigeria inclusive, is not even emitting carbon dioxide or carbon. We are not into carbon emissions in a way to threaten the globe. But we must key into the global energy transition by doing the right things. And going for electric cars, leapfrogging into electric cars is the way to go. People say if you go for CNG cars, someday you start talking about electric cars again. Why not go the whole hog and jump into electric cars and be free from emissions?
CNG infrastructure development is crucial for widespread adoption in transportation.
Since we started this program in November of last year, we had less than 18 pumps dispensers in Nigeria doing CNG commercially. So today now we're almost 60 of them. And people are building every day. Refueling plants, we go to NMPDRA, there's about 120 awaiting application to install. And NMPDRA have now signaled and said refueling stations have to now introduce CNG as part of their setup all over Nigeria. And you're going to begin to see this revolution. But I think it's good for us to understand that a journey of 1,000 miles started with the first step. The first step we have taken, Mr. President has already indicated all MDAs in Nigeria. You cannot buy petrol vehicles again. It makes sense. Nigeria is the ones with the biggest gas reserve in the world. Nigeria has no business whatsoever importing petroleum, liquid petroleum to fuel its industrialization, to fuel its factories, to fuel its vehicles, to fuel any kind of development in this country.
For every good initiative, however, a flip side is inevitable. Environmentalists advise that these aspects need to be adequately monitored.
It has its own disadvantage. Disadvantage in the sense that it is also a fuel dependency solution because it's also looking at this fossil fuel to operate the CNG vehicles. Look at the speed. A major part of the vehicle is occupied by the fuel. So as such, the movement is quite slow compared to the conventional vehicle. So I think we have to look at other options. One, to look at CNG as a kind of transitional to our ambition to net zero in emission in Nigeria.
This is what we've been talking about for years, that we need to diversify our energy mix. We cannot continue to depend on only the source of energy that we use, particularly for transportation. So it's what we need to do. It's just that there are salient things that must be taken care of, particularly talking about safety of the conversion, safety of the vehicles on our road. We don't want to have explosions and injury and the maiming of people on our road. So we just need to get that right. And it's also encouraging that they are talking about having some level of standardization of that process, training people so that the conversion is done properly, and also certifying conversion centers. And it's a step in the right direction.
Capacity building, strategies for maintenance, safety, monitoring and evaluation, including standards and effective regulations, are some of the factors needed for the success of the transition to CNG vehicles. In addition, continuous stakeholders' engagement is necessary for more awareness and better communication that can help build trust, support, and confidence in the transition to cleaner energy. This is still environment matters. No matter how we see it, any option that will take us away from fossil fuel is a step in the right direction. For more on CNG vehicles, let's join Charles Alpha in Abuja.
Like never before, increase in the Earth's surface temperatures caused by the concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere has continued unabated. With the continuous burning of fossil fuels and release of gases such as carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide from the transportation system, manufacturing, construction, agriculture, oil and gas industries, leading in temperatures which is apparently now impacting man and his environment. The need by government and private organizations to take steps necessary to mitigate impact on biodiversity remains a priority. Besides being cleaner than petrol or diesel, compressed natural gas CNG is believed to be 80% cheaper, 3 times safer in case of leakages, 3 times less flammable than petrol or diesel, with vehicles less likely to catch fire.
Part of what we did was that they converted one Toyota Corolla from PMS to CNG. And then there was another Corolla that was PMS. So we set 2 of them to Ibadan. While it took the CNG vehicle about 11,000 to get to Ibadan, 11,000 naira. It took the PMS about 65,000 naira to get to Ibadan. So you can see this is the palliative, the kind of palliative we are looking at, cushioning the cost of transportation, the cost of even our foodstuffs and everything, and logistics, trying to reduce it.
I'm very excited about it. I'm hoping that the government will come to our aid and allow us to be able to turn some of our old buses, change the engine from diesel engine to gas engine.
In the adoption of CNG in that regard, you see an effect on reduced cost of fueling, reduced cost of maintenance, and that in itself has an implication on the cost to the end users.
This is why the clamor for the adoption of CNG buses and other vehicles is being intensified by government. After the removal of fuel subsidy, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu launched the presidential CNG initiative in October last year to deliver cheaper, safer, and more climate-friendly energy.
We are putting a lot of work on the way to the full implementation of the BCNGI, and this event today is a testament to the success of our efforts, to the development of technical and human capacity for converting engines to CNG compliance engines. This demonstrates that we are a government that not only points out where we are headed, but also tries to lead by example.
We know that the Nigerian states are looking forward to a cleaner, cheaper form of transportation. And Mr. President is ensuring that all Nigerians get transportation that they need, that is Nigerian owned, because Nigeria is a gas country. So he wants to make sure that the Nigerian public is not subjected to the price of transportation occasioned by international conflagration.
The CNG initiative was designed to deliver compressed natural gas, especially for mass transit. The deployment of CNG buses and tricycles and the vision to get at least 1 million natural gas-propelled vehicles on the roads by 2027 can be made possible with the building of capacities of Nigerians to meet the target. This, again, is believed will be a hallmark in the energy transition plan of government.
We know what the nation is all about today, how the situation is so difficult. And we know the difficulties, anything that affects fuel, affects transportation, affects every sector in this nation. Because everything you do, you have to move. Any business you are doing, you transport, just as it has been stated.
And with the removal of fuel subsidy, you can see this conversion of PMS to CNG is what we are gaining.
Full implementation of this initiative, it is believed, will not only bring about cheaper and safer transport system, but a cleaner environment for all.
CNG by feet. Yes.
Now, have you ever wondered how we were moving around before fossil fuel? Were we emitting as much carbon dioxide and greenhouse gases as we're doing now? How was it back then when we didn't have vehicles and fossil fuel? Let's join Zainab Adam for more.
Transportation has been a nexus between city centers and rural settlement, connecting people and aiding business transactions. In ancient times, primitive methods were used for transportation, and they were not as efficient and time-saving as what is obtainable today. In Borno State, for example, before the 1980s, walking and running was synonymous with healthy ecosystem, free from burning of fossil fuel, emission of smokes and greenhouse gases. This was followed by the use of animals like donkey, horse and camel, which only a few then could afford. Using animals presented challenges. They cannot cross or pass through water in certain areas with rivers, so the owner will have to either tie them up and continue the journey or employ other methods.
In some areas, you have to pay to keep your animal for safekeeping, or you have to pay for both you and the animal to be conveyed across the river.
After vehicles took over in the 80s and 90s, there was a sophisticated bus called 1414 that conveyed 60 to 65 passengers. Another small bus known as Packers existed. It could carry up to 30 to 35 passengers from Maiduguri to Abuja, Kaduna, Jos, and other states, respectively.
They have no any smoke. They are more comfortable and they are more durable and they are more strong. It's only that, thing used to come in time of, in time of new generation. Even that time, the vehicles are very new, they are very strong and they are very fast. I believe even if they went from here to Abuja, they used to reach Abuja around 6 or 7. The same thing with the one that we have now.
Akwai motar da ake ce mashi computer bomber.
I met a car called Computer Bomber and J5, but they don't consume fuel and are easily repaired.
The eco-friendly buses then had limitations as well.
It's only that that vehicle have too much of passengers. And one passenger believes is that the vehicle is carrying 60 and the vehicle is carrying 18. You can see the differences. For example, if they went for a prayer or where they were going to eat, before the passenger came, it's going to take time that the one that they are only 18 or 16. It's more easier just at the time they will come and enter and go.
General Manager of Borno Express Transport Corporation, Grima Zanakari, said the advent of technology has led to a modern and globalized approach to transportation. Grima Kyari pointed out that environmental factors in transportation today are becoming more problematic due to growth in population. He listed alternatives that the Borno state government is exploring.
Electric vehicle taxis, and some of the buses are in the process. Some has already been made, and some are in the process of converting them to compressed natural gas, CNG. That is for the commercial aspect. But then there are private vehicles and the government-owned vehicles. For example, as of now, if to say you have 20 trailers or 50 trailers that are flying from Maiduguri to Lagos, how are you going to convert them? If the conversion is almost about 3 million naira or 2.5 million naira, that is, we are talking about 50 million naira. And as of now, most of us were operating at a higher cost of fuel, and everybody knows. The CNG is much cheaper, but to convert your vehicle from petrol or gas, that is AGO, to CNG, compressed natural gas, it's not easy. So we will appeal to the federal government to make an arrangement either with private sector financier or with the manufacturers of those equipment to look for a way whereby either the federal government will subsidize it or arrangement will be made that if your vehicle is converted, you will pay it instrumentally within some period of time. Because the problem is that as of now, even if you convert the vehicle, to get the gas will be another problem. Because, for example, as of now, if you are traveling from Maiduguri to Abuja, maybe you went around Maiduguri, Potiskum, Azare, Kano. It is not always that you can afford to fill your tank or the capacity will take you to your final destination. Along the line, you might need refilling. Is there provisions for refilling? That is the reason why even at the word go, I said we have a very long way to go.
Experts also say the key to a healthier life lies in sustainable and environmentally friendly options for transportation.
Every wild animal serves a purpose in a balanced and functioning ecosystem. But demand for bushmeat can destroy that balance. Deforestation and trade in live wildlife put us all at risk of disease outbreak like Ebola, Lassa fever, and even COVID-19. We can all help prevent extinction and diseases by saying no to illegal bushmeat. Keep them wild and keep us safe.
Now, as we end today's episode of Environment Matters, let's not forget that at the last climate change conference in Dubai, over 190 nations agreed to phase out fossil fuel. So if we don't start now to strategize, there might come a time when fossil fuel might not be so popular. So we must not be caught napping. So CNG vehicles is a step in the right direction. We might maybe along the line also introduce electric vehicles. In fact, some organizations are already using electric vehicles in Nigeria. So until next week when another episode of Environment Matters comes your way, I am Jennifer Igwe. Stay green and always think green.